A lot of you might call me a noob there. I win this match 9 times out of 10. Milkman got extremely lucky. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Ox here with another video. If you're new to the channel, we do upload Pokemon Go content mostly related to PvP, so please consider subscribing to the channel if that is of interest to you. And if you're a returning subscriber like Mark Woods, thank you for the support. In today's video, we are taking a look at a new team that I tried out, which got me to 3094 MMR, which is currently my highest point of the season. So it isn't exactly the most well-constructed team. However, I felt that it would perform pretty well for what I was seeing a lot in the meta. So I made it based upon that. And there is another sort of backstory to it. Basically, I battled FPSticks and he did defeat me using a Galvantula lead. Now I was running that Pelipper line, so I got hard countered this time, a little bit of a reversal of roles. But I was very impressed by that team, and Galvantula in particular, it just looked so strong, so I decided to use it. But I'm not really using it in the lead, I'm using it in the back, so it doesn't perform the same exactly, but it is very good. Now the team does struggle quite a bit to Altaria, but out of like the common meta and things you see the most, Altaria is probably the only thing that really threatens it that much. Obviously something like Alolan Marowak too in the lead would be very difficult. Overall, the team seems decent. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it as a team that will consistently win, but for what I was seeing in this particular moment in the meta, it did perform quite well, and you're going to see some of those battles in this video today. If you guys enjoy this type of content, please make sure you smash that like button. It really helps the channel grow. And without any further ado, let's jump into the first battle right now. Alright, so let's jump into this battle. Hareluyaboyz here in match number 1. And part of what I like about this video is that there is a lot of talented trainers. So we are leading Deoxys here. We see a SirFetch'd. And this is a pretty good matchup in general for Deoxys, even if the opponent is running Night Slash. And I'm going to go for the Thunderbolts here. This will pretty much knock out the SirFetch'd, but he does choose to burn the shield. And at this point I have a decision to make. Do I want to win switch, or do I just want to let this go? I decided to take the shield advantage instead. And I'm going to bring in Galvantula, try to farm this down, get a huge energy lead, and just hope that whatever he has in the back doesn't necessarily hard counter my 2 Pokemon of Galvantula and Swampert. If it does, I'll have to try and manipulate that energy some way to get a victory here. So we see Stunfisk come in, obviously a very hard counter. So I bring in the Swampert. You can see here he has a Jirachi. So this isn't necessarily the worst matchup for Swampert, but I do need to play this out correctly. And I think part of that is exploiting the confusions and trying to sneak in as much extra mud shots as I can in order to take this W here. So you can see I have to get to this Hydro Cannon. I'm able to beat him to it as a result of having that energy lead from him switching after me. And now if I could get this Hydro Cannon onto Stunfisk, this is absolutely huge for me. And the thing is, my Swampert actually has very, very good IVs, and it loses in the 2 shields. But you can see I bring in Galvantula here to throw the lunge just to ensure that I get the debuff on this Stunfisk, to force it to have to throw an Earthquake at me, because Rock Slide now will not KO. So I should be able to either farm down or get this Hydro Cannon as a result. And you can see we are able to farm down there, so that lunge came through super clutch, and we take that game. So Dylan 9497 here in the second match. Very talented trainer who I have battled a few times, and very difficult to beat as well. So we've seen a Alolan Marowak here, which is a very difficult lead, and I'm going to just throw the Rock Slide here. I'm going to choose to stay in this matchup because my only real safe swap would be Swampert, and I don't want to give away my hard counter right away. So don't want to bring Galvantula obviously. So I think the best case is just to stay in with the Deoxys and don't use any shields. You can see we actually almost get to the Rock Slide here, which would have forced the shield there, but unfortunately not able to get it. So now I bring in Swampert, and I'm going to throw this Hydro Cannon just because I don't want to get hit by the Shadow Bone. So I'm going to throw this right now, and I'm okay with wasting that energy. We see Venusaur come in, so I bring in Galvantula, and it looks like he instantly swaps into Azumarill. So this is actually a much better position for me to be in now, because I could technically now get an energy lead and have some lunges ready to go for that Venusaur. So I'm going to throw the Discharge here, and the Azumarill lets that go, so I should be able to farm down now. And I'm actually able to farm down before it gets to the move, which is absolutely huge for me. And I'm going to throw this lunge. This Venusaur still does have 2 shields, so this isn't the most optimal situation to be in. Lets that first one go through, which is really good. I'm going to get to the second one before it throws a move. So at this point, I'm going to force a shield for sure. It is double debuffed and it can't switch out to reset. So I figure at this point, I'm just going to bring in the Swampert, make it throw its energy, because if it doesn't, I'm going to be able to throw this Hydro Cannon here. It's not running Razor Leaf, so I could somewhat take the Vine Whip damage. There goes the move, and I'm able to sneak in the extra Volt Switch here, so he would need 2 Frenzy Plants, but he's not going to be able to throw after this because the Volt Switch went through, so we are going to take that game there. So GG's to Dylan. And next match, BroGamersFB. So I'm leading Defense Deoxys here into a Mew. So Mew again, another very difficult lead. And like I've said in the past, when I see a Mew lead, I often expect to see the TheAsianMilkman line. So you can see Surf comes through here. And basically at this point, the Mew actually needs to go for the Wild Charge the second time to KO, or I will get to this Rock Slide here. So you could see that the Mew is going to throw here. I'm going to let this go through. It is a Surf. And actually get to the Rock Slide here. And this is going to put the Mew very low, and you can see it almost KOs. We actually simultaneously KO, and in my opinion, that's like best case scenario because I am not supposed to win the 0 shields there. So I will take a draw every time. And here I make the wrong decision. I bring in Swampert, unfortunately. It's pretty much a guessing game, right? When you both simultaneously KO. It's just a guessing game into who you're going to bring out. And this time I brought it wrong. He brings in the Azumarill to catch this Hydro Cannon. Fortunately for me, I was at 100 energy. So I will get to this Sludge Wave, which is going to force the shield. And he did shield that Hydro Cannon because I threw a little bit late, it looked like. So we do get both shields. I bring in the Galvantula, and at this point it's game over. Galvantula hard counters the Azumarill, and it also defeats the Skarmory. So very good position there. Swimmer I see here in the next match, but I believe this was a player who was like rank 1 or something at some point, I believe. So we see the Galvantula lead here, and this is very difficult. You can see these are actually all pretty difficult leads for this team. And I don't necessarily have any safe swaps for any of these leads, so I'm forced to stay in with the Deoxys in these matches, and I let the extra Volt Switch go through there, which is absolutely brutal. So that is a big mistake. And fortunately for me, I am able to get to this second Rock Slide, so he didn't throw his energy. And I get both shields here, so I'm thinking, okay, this is decent position, but at the same time, this Galvantula is loaded. And Lunge still hurts here, as you're going to see. That's pretty significant damage there. And he is lower on energy, so it's very possible he'll actually get to 3, and obviously I cannot farm down here. So I'm going to throw this Hydro Cannon. The opponent catches onto Shiftry, which is absolutely massive. So that is a huge catch on their part, very well played. I bring in the Galvantula here. Looked like there was a little bit of lag or something, but I do get to this Lunge, and this is going to actually knock out the Shiftry, so that's one thing that went positive for me there. But now we see Swampert come in, and I'm switch locked into this matchup, so this is not good at all. Hydro Cannon does a lot of damage. It's about 66% of my health, so I'm not in a good spot at all. And I don't necessarily know if I'm going to be able to beat this Swampert to the next move, so I actually chose to let this go, which in hindsight was probably a mistake, because now the opponent's going to be able to farm me down. So my only win condition at this point, I need to get back-to-back Hydro Cannons basically. So I'm going to try and overfarm here, and maybe I should have thrown at this point, because I did get to back-to-back there, but maybe I should have threw one earlier and hoped that he didn't have his ready, but I think he did. So I think the only play was to get back-to-back, and unfortunately we end up losing that game. So very well played to the opponent. The Shiftry catch definitely won them that game on the Hydro Cannon. So PorkCheek here in the next matchup, and we see a Skarmory into Deoxys, so finally a positive lead for us. And usually I like to overfarm here. I like to see what they throw, and you could see they are going for the Sky Attack. Looked like that was CMP. Apparently it wasn't, so he gets in the extra Air Slash, which broken game, eSport ready. And we are going to, at this point, usually what I do is I shield the Sky Attack, and then I commit to the straight farm down, have energy ready because he won't get to another move. And you can see we are able to farm down there. So we have a lot of energy. We see an Umbreon come in, which isn't optimal. I'm going to go for the Rock Slide here. Rock Slide and Thunderbolt pretty much do the same damage, almost equally energy efficient. Thunderbolt does like 3 more damage for more energy though. So I bring a Galvantula here. I just switch out, and the opponent brings in Toxicroak. So at this point, I'm going to go for the Lunge here. Now, Discharge would probably KO from this range, so we do see the shield come up. And if I shield here, I will get to the next move. So I had a decision to make here. I actually chose to let it go through, And I'm going to bring in the Deoxys because I have the Thunderbolt ready basically. So that's why I let the discharge go through. This Thunderbolt is going to be a lot more useful against the Toxicroak than it would be against the Umbreon. And the Umbreon's going to come back in here. Now it will be able to farm me down, so that's not good. And we do have a shield here. Obviously foul play, they are going to add up, but I think with this much of a health advantage, we should be able to be in a good spot here. Not if I let those Snarl sneak through like I did right there, but if I could get two back-to-back Hydro Cannons here, I should be fine. I know foul play is not going to KO here, but I'm going to have to start shielding this one. And if he gets to another one here before I get to the next two, I'm going to lose this match. So I get to the two Hydro Cannons there, I let another Snarl go through, but I should be able to win CMP here if he has the move ready, which we are able to do. And we're going to take this game. So a big W there. And let's move into the next matchup. So we're going to see FoGTatum. Only FOG I know is Fear of God. So he's rocking the Gucci North Face though. That's a bit of a conflict of interest there to Jerry Lorenzo. But we see Shadow Abomasnow come in. And the opponent switched out into Azumarill. So I actually remember this game. The reason I included this matchup here is because I wanted to show this loss for the mistake I made. So you can see I switched into Galvantula very, very quickly. And this is only an Ice Beam here. This is where I make a mistake. I should not be shielding this knowing it's an Ice Beam, because I could farm down here regardless if I shield or not. And then I have less energy for the Abomasnow to farm. I'm going to have this lunge regardless, and I'll still have my shield. By giving up that shield there, I basically threw the game. So not good at all. The Abomasnow going to throw the move here. It's going to knock out the Galvantula. And I'm going to bring back in the Abomasnow here, or sorry, the Deoxys here. And the opponent has a Sableye. So at this point, it's such a tough spot because Sableye actually beats Swampert, I believe, with especially with that shield advantage. So, I mean, maybe I should switch out into Swampert sooner. I was hoping that he would just throw the energy here, but he's overfarmed for sure, right? So it's a really tough spot here. I bring in the Swampert, and yeah, I mean, if it's a return, it's game over, and it is returned, so nothing I do. I think the only play there was maybe to catch the foul play, but problem is Swampert doesn't really have that mud shot farm down potential, so I'm forced to throw charge moves, and because he still has a shield, I was in a pretty tough spot there. So very tough game. TheAsianMilkman here in the next matchup, and TheAsianMilkman, one of the best battlers in the world. So we see a Mew here, and this is one of the battlers who I have definitely learned the most from, just from watching his battles. Very skillful. And you could see here, we've seen that one Mew matchup already. Basically, they go for the Wild Charge on the second one to knock out and win in the Zero Shields, I believe. So let's see how this plays out. And you could see he just knows the matchups perfectly, catches, throws the move exactly to CMP tie, gets the Wild Charge that is going to KO. And at this point, I'm going to bring in the Galvantula here. And I know that Galvantula has a pretty favorable matchup against all of his Pokemon. So I figured I was in a pretty good spot here. So I'm going to shield this up for sure and just commit to the straight farm down. And now it's either going to be the Scrafty or the Skarmory. So I'm going to throw the lunge here at the Scrafty, debuff this. And we are down a shield, but I am ahead on energy, so I should be able to get to the second one. Now unfortunately I do let that extra counter go through, which isn't good, but it's okay. We do get a second shield here. And at this point I make a huge mistake and I switch out to Swampert for some reason. I don't know what I was thinking here, because I basically allowed that Scrafty to reset its entire debuff, and it's like almost at 100 energy, I'm sure. So I really messed up here. I thought bringing in the Swampert would help me win the Skarmory matchup in the Zero Shields, but it just doesn't make any sense. So you can see I am going to win this in the Zero Shields, but it's just a huge mistake. And now the Scrafty is going to get more energy from farm down the Swampert here. So basically my only point of this game is to hope that he baits with Power Punch, but it's a loss here. He has too much energy. And you know, a lot of you might call me a noob there. I win this match 9 times out of 10. Milkman got extremely lucky. 9 times out of 10 I win that. So Hayato in this next match. In all seriousness though, Milkman, amazing battler, and he definitely deserved that win. I just misplayed, but again, he's a very talented trainer. So gonna throw the Thunderbolts here into Azumarill. This is obviously a very good matchup for us, and you know, it's nice to see these positive leads once in a while. You know, I'm leading Deoxys because in general it has very positive leads, but for these sets I was actually right into some pretty bad leads in general. So we do see Cresselia come in here. I'm going to switch on to Galvantula. Did hold on to my energy, which is really good. Get the extra Volt Switch in there. So this matchup in particular is going very well for us. Cresselia going to throw the Moonblast. I choose the Shield. I'm going to throw the Lunge here. And I should be able to get to the second Lunge before it gets to another move. So I am going to throw here. This will knock out the Cresselia. And again, he does have a Azumarill, which is going to have a hard time. So I should expect to see what his third Pokemon is here. But he does bring in the Azumarill, which made me think he might be weak to Galvantula on the back possibly. So that made me feel a bit confident about possibly the Deoxys maybe having some play against it. Unless it's like Umbreon or Sableye, then I would need the Swampert, but this is a pretty tough match. Throw the Rock Slide here, which KOs, and we see the Marowak come in. So actually, I don't know why he brought in the Azumarill instead of the Marowak, because Marowak would have had a really good match against the Galvantula. And granted, I do have a Swampert for the Marowak in the back, but I think that was probably the play there for them. So at this point, Shadow Bone comes through, and basically I just need to build up for 2 Hydro Cannons here, and we will be able to win this game. So shield this up. Unfortunately, looks like he did get there slightly before me. I don't think that was CMP. And we go for the Hydro Cannon here, which is going to get the shield. And then this next Hydro Cannon should be enough to knock out this Alolan Marowak. So kind of interesting that moves like Hydro Cannon and Frenzy Plant stuff haven't gotten nerfed yet. Not that I'm saying they should, but you know, seeing some of these other moves get nerfed, but not Hydro Cannon kind of makes you wonder. So here we have a mirror match, Deoxys into Deoxys. And, you know, in this matchup, Rock Slide and Thunderbolt are both equally more or less the same DP. You can see the opponent goes for Thunderbolts here. I like to assume usually that when they do go for Thunderbolt, they have Psycho Boost, but I also go for Thunderbolt and I have Rock Slide, so it doesn't necessarily work. Opponent did catch, or did try to catch with the Stunfisk there. Fortunately, I did not throw, and I bring in the Swampert here. Now, as I was saying earlier in one of the battles, my Swampert actually has such good IVs that the Hydro Cannon does 2 less damage than like a standard Swampert, and I end up losing the 2 shields as a result of that. But if you have like a regular Swampert, you will win the 2 shields quite convincingly. So let's see here, the Deoxys comes in. Obviously Deoxys isn't a good counter for Swampert, so at this point I'm assuming that the opponent probably has something weak to Swampert in the back maybe. And I switch into my Deoxys here to throw this energy, force a shield, or let this Deoxys go down. Well, it doesn't necessarily go down, but we're in a good spot here. And we see an Umbreon come in, so like this position, gonna throw the Thunderbolts here, mostly because I didn't think I'd be able to get to 2 Rock Slides. But realistically, maybe we would be able to. I guess we would have been, I don't know actually, it might have been CMP. Either way, it's not a big deal. I have Galvantula here, I have 2 shields. This is a very good situation to be in, of course. And that Deoxys in the back is very low in health. So whenever this happens, whenever I know that they have something in the back that is very weak to, or not very weak, but very low in health, I should say, I like to not necessarily throw my energy right away, because I expect the sack swap to come at some point. And you can see Deoxys comes here. And because Volt Switch is so slow, it actually didn't faint there. So we did catch a Psycho Boost, so as we saw, it did not have Rock Slide, hence it was throwing Thunderbolts in the mirror match. And I did waste my shield on that, but it's totally fine. I'm gonna throw the Lunge here at this Umbreon. It did reset its debuff, so debuffing it once again. And at this point, I'm going to build up for the Lunge and then switch out immediately, just in case I were to lose some sort of CMP tie there. And I know when I come back in, Galvantula is guaranteed to win CMP against Umbreon. So even if this Swampert goes down here, which in this case it's not going to, I would be able to win the CMP tie against the Umbreon, even if it had 2 million energy, just because I have my Lunge ready. So just a guaranteed victory there. JTR 803 here in this next matchup, and we're leading Defense Deoxys into Azumarill. So we're starting to see some pretty decent leads here. Things are starting to balance out. I mean, Azumarill isn't necessarily a great lead for Deoxys either, but it is playable, and usually I do find that I have some decent success against these Azumarill matches. It obviously depends on the moveset you're facing. Right here we can see Play Rough comes through, and we did get one shield already. I'm just gonna go straight Thunderbolts at this point. So Thunderbolts here does pretty decent damage, and I'm actually gonna let this go through here, which I think is a mistake here, because now I'm gonna get farmed down by Bubble and basically giving this Azumarill free energy, which I don't think is the correct play, because now it's gonna threaten my Galvantula I'm gonna have to waste the shields here. I think the mistake was not shielding the Deoxys there. And I am able to farm down, so we get a lot of energy. I guess at the bare minimum, we are even on shield. We see a Marowak come in, so I'm going to throw the discharge immediately. If this doesn't get a shield, it is going to do decent damage, and I'll switch into Swampert right away. We see Abomasnow come in, so this is a Shadow variant, and this is a very bait dependent match here. So I'm going to go straight for the Sludge Wave immediately. We do have a bit of an energy lead, and at this point, if he baits me with Weather Ball, this is pretty much game over. If he goes for Energy Ball and I correctly shield it, I have a chance here. It is an Energy Ball. I'm going to be able to beat it to the Sludge Wave because of that energy lead I had from switching into the Marowak. And this should be enough to knock out the Abomasnow here. And fortunately for us, I mean, Shadow Bone will probably KO here. So this still isn't a very easy match. The opponent goes for a Bone Club though, which fortunately for us is going to be able to give us the win here, because that Galvantula in the back would have a pretty difficult matchup here, so the opponent did give us a win con there by going for the Bone Club. VikRioja here, one of my friends, and it's not very often that I battle somebody who's on my friends list in Go Battle League, but it's always very interesting. You can see we have Deoxys here, and actually Vic is currently number 10 in the world in the global leaderboard, so huge shout out to you. Rock Slide here coming through. I'm going to go for the Thunderbolt. And like I said, usually when I'm in this mirror match, I don't necessarily care about winning the mirror so much as long as I get a shield advantage. So I'm going to go for the Thunderbolts here. And you can see it does get a shield. So any shields here, I decide, you know what? I'm going to try and apply pressure for the second shield here. I have gotten in a few extra counters, so I am in position to win this match if he doesn't choose to shield. And you can see he does. So he wants switch. And I'm going to come in now with the Swampert. My play here basically is to farm down completely. I want to have 100 energy ready and just farm this thing down. I know I'm going to get hit by a lot of rock slides, but I could tank all of them. You can see you're going to get hit by another one, and we're going to be close to the red here, but I'm totally fine with this. We farm down completely. We're in the red. We see Altaria come in. Now, I don't have a good answer for this. I bring in Galvantula, but I do have a shield advantage. And with a shield advantage, I could win against Altaria here. So all I need to do is go for 2 discharges, because the opponent switches out into Azumarill, which basically becomes a punching bag in this matchup. So I'm going to throw the discharge here. And I think the play at this point is to, well, yeah, I guess to throw a discharge here makes more sense. Not get hit by a move here. Keep the shield and throw a discharge here. And fortunately for me, I am able to throw this discharge at the Altaria before it threatens my shield, and I know now that Swampert wins CMP, so I have the Sludge Wave ready. This is going to be enough to knock out the Altaria, and we are going to take that game. But very, very close battle there, and shout out to Vic, because you are killing it on the leaderboard right now, my friend. So after this set, we did go up to 3094, which is pretty solid and my highest MMR of the season so far. But to be honest, I don't really enjoy the queue times, so I probably am going to tank. Not intentionally, but just from the tough battles up here, probably going to lose some matches just in general. If you guys enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like, commenting, subscribing to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.